Hello everyone, this class is an introduction to general linguistics, and today's sessions we're gonna talk about theoretical and also applied linguistics. When we talk about linguistics, it's usually divided into two parts, applied linguistics and also theoretical linguistics. So, applied linguistics entails using what we know about language, about how it is used, and about how it is learned in order to solve some problem in the real world. Applied linguistics uses language-related research in a wide variety of fields, such as language acquisition, language teaching, literacy, gender studies, language policy, speech therapy, discourse analysis, censorships, workplace communications, media studies, translations, lexicography, and forensic linguistics. So basically, in applied linguistics, we discuss about language and its relations with another field of science. For example, when we talk about forensic linguistics, in here we discuss how the language is used in terms of law, in terms of criminal activity, and how people manipulate criminal activity by using language. And then when we are talking about discourse analysis, we are analyzing language to see how language is manifested to support certain power, how language is used to influence certain people in certain contexts. When we talk about gender studies, we look at language on how it influences certain gender, or maybe when certain gender use language different from another gender. Those are the aspect of applied linguistics. And then if we move on to the definitions of applied linguistics, so basically applied linguistics is using what we know about a language and then how it is learned and then how it is used in order to achieve some purpose or solve some problem in the real world. In language teaching, for example, you use language in order to teach other people, therefore that people understand the language. Or when you use language in trading, you use the language in order to achieve a goal, that is a successful trading activity. So the focus of applied linguistics is on trying to resolve language-based problems that people encounter in real world, whether they be learners, teachers, supervisors, academics, lawyers, service providers, and those who need social services, test takers, policy developers, dictionary makers, translators, and whole range of business clients. So in applied linguistics, we have several branches. Number one, we can say psycholinguistics as part of applied linguistics, sociolinguistics, dialectology, ethnolinguistics, language policies and planning, neurolinguistics. Why we consider those aspects of applied linguistics as part of applied linguistics? Because they apply what they know about language in another field of science. Let's say sociolinguistics, we discuss the relations between language and what happened in the society. Therefore, we are talking about the applications of language used by specific culture, by specific people, in order to maintain their relation in society. We call it as sociolinguistics, and it is part of applied linguistics. Another example, when we are talking about neurolinguistics, we are talking about another field of science, neurology, and then we combine it with our understanding of language, linguistic in this case, and then we discuss how neurology, how language is applied or analyzed through the understanding of neurology. That's the first part. So the next one is theoretical linguistics. Applied linguistics, from the word applied, we apply our knowledge of language. Meanwhile, in theoretical linguistics, we discuss language from its perspective on the language. So in theoretical linguistics, we have several branches. Number one, we have phonetic. Number two, we have phonology. Number three, we have morphology. Number four, we have syntax. And the last one, we have semantics. And actually, we still have another one, we call it as pragmatic, because it is in between theoretical and also applied linguistics. Next part, I'm gonna talk about theoretical, interdisciplinary, and also applied linguistics. So in these three part of discussions, I'm going to start with theoretical linguistics. In theoretical, we have phonology, morphology, syntax, and structural grammar, semantics, and historical linguistics. Meanwhile, in interdisciplinary linguistics, we have psycholinguistics, sociolinguistic, pragmatic, discourse analysis, and computational and corpus linguistics. In applied linguistics, we have applied linguistics to education, applied linguistics to foreign language education, translation studies, and lexicography. And another subfield of applied linguistics, we have language and education. What are the subfield of it? So in language of educations, we have first language education, second language education, foreign language education. So first language education, we are talking about the first language of the society. Like if you are Indonesian and if you are living in Java Island or maybe in Jakarta, your first language will be Bahasa Indonesia. And then second language education, we don't have second language in Indonesia here. If you go to Malaysia or if you go to Singapore, you have Singlish there, or in Malaysia they have English as their second language educations. Meanwhile here in Indonesia, English is still foreign language. Therefore we have School of Foreign Language because English is foreign language here in Indonesia. And then next subfield of applied linguistics, we have language, work, and the law. In workplace communications, we can analyze language there. Language planning, we are talking about the ministry who govern the development of language in a certain country. And then forensic linguistics, we are talking about language and its relations with certain criminal activity and etc. Language, informations, and effect, we have literally stylistics, and then critical discourse analysis, translation and interpretation, information design, and lexicography. Next one, when we are talking about applied linguistics, we cannot separate ourselves from the major organizations in applied linguistics that are available in the world. Number one, we have TESOL, or we call it as Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And then IATEFL, we have International Associations of Teachers of English as Foreign Language. And then we have AAAL, American Associations for Applied Linguistics. So this organization try to maintain or try to discuss what happened to applied linguistics, or to discuss a current issue in applied linguistics from all over the world. Next one, I'm going to talk about the theoretical linguistics from the perspective of each aspect, because later you're going to have this, after you pass this subject, you have to take this subject chronologically. After you pass an introduction to general linguistics, you can take phonetic and phonology, and then after that you can take morphology, and then next one you can take syntax, and then the next one you can take semantic and pragmatic. So when you talk about phonetic and phonology, you talk about how human organ can produce certain sound. And then phonology, you talk about sound in specific language. And then in morphology, you're gonna talk about the construction or the structures of word. Not only sentence, but structure also has, a word also has a structure. And then next one is about syntax. So in syntax, you're gonna talk about the structure of sentence. You're gonna talk about phrases. You're gonna talk about clause and etc. And then in semantics, you're gonna talk about the literal meaning of word. And the last one, on the level of pragmatic, you're gonna talk about the meaning of word from its contextual background. So those are our discussions on applied linguistics and theoretical linguistics. So I repeat, applied linguistics is the study of how your knowledge of language is being applied in certain field of science. And then in theoretical linguistics, you discuss language from its point of view. Therefore, you discuss the internal structure of language. That's all for today's meeting. Thank you very much. See you next meeting.